Your SPaG revision this week is going to be all about subordinate clauses. So you can't have a subordinate clause if you don't have a subordinating conjunction. And a subordinating conjunction is a word which links two clauses together. But the subordinate clause does not make sense on its own. So you might remember us talking about coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions join together two clauses which do make sense individually. Subordinating conjunctions join more than one clause, and the subordinate clause does not make sense on its own. So let's look at an example of that. I will be late if I don't get on the next bus. Now, the green section is the main clause. If is an example of a subordinating conjunction, and I don't get on the next bus is the subordinate clause. So if I don't get on the next bus is the subordinate clause, and it doesn't make sense individually. It only makes sense because it adds detail to the first part, the main clause, which is I will be late. I will be late if I don't get on the next bus. Main clause, subordinating conjunction, subordinate clause. Okay, so we're going to select some subordinating conjunctions now to fit into the following sentences. So along the bottom there, you can see your subordinate conjunction clause choices are if, since, as, when, although, while, after, before, until, and because. And you can see they've given the first letter of each word in dark blue, and the acronym is I saw a wabub, which is a good way of remembering them. So look, let's first one. Beth was a little bit scared, blank, the ride was spinning quickly. Hazim cheered loudly, blank, his favourite player scored a goal. And I didn't go to school, blank, it was closed for the summer holidays. So pause the video for a second, have a look at the conjunctions along the bottom and select one that you think will fit each sentence. I'm sure there'll be more than one for some of them. So we're going to read the following sentences and write only the subordinate clauses. Well, we don't have whiteboards, so you can either write it on a piece of paper you have with you or just visualise it. Siobhan had not seen her auntie since she met her at the cinema last Friday. Mo smiled for the cameras as he crossed the finish line. Kerry was tired after completing her marathon swim. Okay, so find the subordinate clause, and my top tip for that is look for the subordinating conjunction. Okay, so here are the answers. Siobhan had not seen her auntie since she met her at the cinema last Thursday. So the subordinate clause in that sentence is since she met her at the cinema last Thursday. The main clause is Siobhan had not seen her auntie. That makes sense on its own, that could be a full sentence, but the subordinate clause adds extra detail to it. Mo smiled for the cameras as he crossed the finish line. As he crossed the finish line is the subordinate clause. Kerry was tired after completing her marathon swim. So after completing her marathon swim is the subordinate clause. Kerry was tired is the main clause. Now, also I want us to recap. A subordinate clause can come at different parts of a sentence. It can be at the beginning, middle, or end. So a fronted adverbial can be a kind of subordinate clause, like this one. Like a bullet speeding through the air, comma, he ran through the door. Or it can go at the end of a sentence like this one. She went straight home after school because she needed an early tea. Now you could really say, because she needed an early tea, comma, she went straight home after school, but it sounds a little better if you do it at the end of the sentence. And I'm sure some of you might remember when we were doing our non-chronological reports about the Stone Age, we did a lot of subordinate clauses that were at the beginning. Yes, as they were excellent hunters, comma, Stone Age people never ran out of things to eat. Or, in order to stay warm, comma, Stone Age people would build a fire. Okay, so your SPaG tasks are all based around subordinate clauses.